You are live on 98.9 Northwest FM for the Tuesday review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by James. How you going, James? What's something that's made you happy this week?
Oh boy.
Scrape the barrel, James. You can do it.
Jeez, I got nothing. A Knight's Tale is coming out on 4K finally.
That makes everyone pretty happy.
Yeah, we were all excited about that. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, yay!
Also joined by Alan. How you going, Alan? What's something that's made you happy this week?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Something that's made me happy is me and the boys finished Spyro 2 over the weekend.
Nice.
And now we're up to Spyro 3, but, that'll take some time. It's more of a group play thing.
Yeah.
And you're 100%ing it.
Yes, that's the way to do it. Also, what's made me happy is I, over the weekend, purchased a brand new lawnmower.
Oh, nice.
And I understand that.
So the gas guzzler.
Yeah, no, that's how you get to it. I can go and buy 10 litres of gas when I need it, or sorry, petrol, as we call it in Australia. I don't have to wait for batteries to charge. This has been a long time coming. I think I've been dealing with my old lawnmower for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's not been a fun time. And so this one's a lot better. A lot of things aren't broken on this one. Because the story, I'm not going to get deep into it. Everything on that lawnmower, the old one, except for the engine, is broken.
Yeah.
Everything else around it is broken.
So you have an engine.
Yeah. My dad, being a typical dad, was like, "No, I paid for this. I'm never letting it go."
Yeah. Don't waste your money.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, it makes sense if you buy the I'm not gonna say the most expensive option, but at least a reasonably expensive option when you buy it."
You do get your money's worth.
Yeah. He didn't. He bought the cheaper one. Probably one of the cheapest ones he could have, and it went downhill from there. But that 20 years of suffering is over. So that's what I'm happy about.
Very good. Also, joined by Callum. What's something that's made you happy this week, Callum?
Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, the cinematics look amazing. Featuring what Kojima calls Cliff's successor. I can't remember the guy's name, the villain's name. But it's a spitting image of Solid Snake.
Nice.
Have you seen the new trailer, James?
Not the new one, no.
It has a spitting image of Solid Snake, and he comes out of a graveyard that's on fire. And then when you see him with his, Cliff has the ghosts along with him.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, except there are fireworks. When he puts on the headband, you see him as a full character. Fireworks come up in the background.
Classic Kojima.
Yeah, and there's also another character who has like a head helmet that's a spitting image of one of the Metal Gears from Metal Gear Solid. So people are like, is he allowed to do this?
He's like a weeb for his own stuff.
I think.
Do you know what I mean?
I think he did want to let it go, and now he's like, I'm reclaiming it. It's like reclaiming his own power from Konami in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game looks amazing. So yeah, that's made me happy this week.
Excellent. As for me, something's made me happy this week is the new game Split Fiction.
Oh, cool.
I redeemed a gift card and only paid $9 for it.
Nice.
And I played it for about an hour and a half, and it's a really good time.
Very
Inventive. Very good experience. And only one person needs to buy it. And you can cross-play it on any platform you desire.
Nice.
I've noticed we all talk about how we're doing and then what's made us happy. No one asked Nathan how you're doing, Nathan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
No, but the problem was he used to ask everyone how you doing, and we'd just go,
Yeah.
And so I was like, instead of how you doing, it should be what made you happy. So we have to start off on positive. But Nathan still tucks in the hey, like, how are you? Just as a...
Yeah, I think it's always important to ask how a person's doing.
Okay.
I'm good.
We have Are You Okay Day.
Wait, is that...
It's Are You Okay
Is that
Day in
I'm good
studio
or
today?
am I good? You know?
I mean, we expect the yes, the face answer, yes.
Yeah.
So, you're doing good, that's it.
On the air, I'm great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's the all good in the hood. No, there was a lot of socioeconomic issues in the hood.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we'll move on. We have an interesting one this week. We have a couple of new films, maybe Alan's got a classic for us to talk about. But we'll start with something new. James had the opportunity to go and see the new film Mickey 17.
Yes. Bong Joon-ho is an amazing director. His last film was Parasite in 2019, which was amazing.
Very good film.
And had a huge critical success. and it won Best Picture and Best International Picture at the Oscars, and it won the Palme d'Or and a whole bunch of other things, and everyone was going nuts over it, and rightly so, because unlike a lot of movies that get a lot of praise, this one was actually extremely good and one of the best movies of the 21st century. And Bong Joon-ho is one of my favorite directors. He's never made a bad film. I own all his films on Blu-ray.
He also did Snowpiercer,
Okja, Mother, not the Jennifer Lawrence one, the Korean one. The Host, the Korean one,
did he do,
monster movie.
Memories of Murder?
Memories of Murder, yes.
That's on my watch list.
Yeah, it's a great movie. He's just such a great director, and he's one of my favorites. And as soon as he announces any movie, I'm like, yeah, I'm there day one. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's bad. I don't care what it's about. So when Mickey 17 was announced, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to watch that. And I went to see it this weekend. It stars Robert Pattinson. It takes place in the future.
Stars Robert Pattinson 17 times, right?
Robert Pattinson's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson in an ensemble cast of Robert Pattinson.
of other Robert Pattinsons. Obligatory, do I have to watch Mickey 1 through 16
No.
before seeing this joke? It takes place in the future where, we're colonizing other planets. And Robert Pattinson's character, Mickey, has like nothing going on Earth, and he's in a bit of trouble. So he signs up to be an expendable, where he goes on dangerous missions in
I want to watch that movie.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm assuming this was a group invite.
No.
Or you went privately, you bastard.
I honestly don't remember. I did bring it up at a certain point, and everyone shut me down. So I think you were there, but I can't remember.
My memory is this was mentioned when we went to see The Monkey.
Was it?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I probably wasn't focusing on it being that particular film. Damn it.
Anyway,
It's not
Alan
going
will
anywhere.
remember this.
next time I'll invite you to, and you'll obviously say no, and then
I'll regret it.
Yeah. So Robert Pattinson, he's expendable. So they put him in dangerous, sort of life-threatening situations, and they do tests on him to sort of further their exploration of the planet and to further their science and technology. And every time he dies, they just reprint out like a clone version of him, and so he keeps dying. And this movie is about the 17th version of him. And it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. He almost dies. He survives. When he goes back to the base, he finds out they've already printed out a new version because they thought he was dead. And so now there's Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. There's two versions of him, which is not allowed in this universe. And so hijinks ensue. This is very much Okja/Snowpiercer Bong Joon-ho. And not real. It's like more crazy.
Not drama, Bong Joon-ho.
No, it's like sci-fi comedy, action. It's a bit zany and goofy and cartoony. So it's like definitely in the Okja, Snowpiercer vein, rather than something like Parasite or Mother or Memories of Murder. So yeah, I think I've seen a lot of divisive reactions to this movie, where I think some people were so enamored by Parasite that seeing this movie as his next movie, it was like they're like, what the hell is this? They didn't know how to react. But I think if you've seen Okja and Snowpiercer, which are much better than Mickey 17, I think you'll know sort of where that wavelength, what frequency he's on.
The tonal whiplash shouldn't be as severe.
Yeah, but maybe because of Parasite being so popular, like maybe that's people were unexpected.
Unfortunately, that's what comes with great success, right? Now he's known for Parasite, and people expect him to make a movie like Parasite, which is you're never going to please everyone. Yeah,
perhaps that's it. But I think also the movie does have problems. It's messy. It's trying to do too many things at once. There's subplots that kind of go nowhere. Little things that get set up that never get paid off. you think it's going one direction, and then it's just like, no, it's not about that. It's about this. And unlike Okja or Snowpiercer, which have obviously, you know, anti-capitalist, environmentalist sort of messages, this one does too, but it's the most ham-fisted. It's just the worst version of his previous themes.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So yeah, it's a good movie. I was entertained. I think it's fun to watch. Robert Pattinson's really good. He does this really weird, funny voice, which is always good when he's playing a weirdo character. Mark Ruffalo, I think, was really funny. Toni Collette was really good. But yeah, some of the other supporting characters is just like very one-dimensional, and you know, whether the actors were good or not didn't really matter because the character wasn't really there. And I was like, why is this person here? Like, cut that out. Like, this is, or flesh it out. So yeah, it wasn't. I've seen some people give it like 1 star. I've seen some people give it like 5 stars. I'm like 3.5. I'm in the middle. I think it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. It has some really cool sci-fi stuff. It's some really funny moments. I like some of the production design and futuristic stuff. Some of the ideas are really cool. But yeah, it doesn't really stick the land. The ending is very jarring and kind of lackluster. And yeah, it's just maybe weirdly paced. So it's not great, but I don't think it's bad, and it's still much more interesting than 90% of the mainstream movies we get nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's also nice to watch a movie like a pretty mainstream movie that's getting advertising and, you know, sort of wide release. It's nice to see a movie like that that's weird, because it's a weird movie, and you don't really see that anymore in mainstream. So I just appreciated that part of it.
Yeah, nice.
And, you know, it looked kind of nice, and yeah, it was a fun time. But yeah, not great. It's Bong Joon-ho's weakest. However, all his movies are so great that still doesn't.
Still a good movie.
Yeah, it's still good. It's just the bottom of his
For the boys
roster.
in the studio and people listening at home, would say wait for streaming release?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I had fun watching it in the cinema, but yeah, if you money's tight for everyone right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess on one hand I'd say wait, but on the other hand, it's like, you know, we always complain about, you know, unoriginal movies and all this superhero and kids movie garbage. That's the only thing that comes out, and that's the only thing that makes money. So it's like, I kind of want people to go support this just for the fact that it is, I mean, it's based on a book, but it's a sort of original R-rated sci-fi kind of weird movie. Yeah. So in one way I was like, you know, if you do have the time and the money,
go out and support it.
Yeah. You know, it's like, yeah, I guess it depends on your feelings toward Okja or Snowpiercer, which again are much better movies. But yeah, I think it's worth checking out. I did, after it finished, I was like, I want to read the novel because I feel like there's a lot either missing or that was reinterpreted for the adaptation, or, you know, it was changed. So I'm interested to read the novel, which is called Mickey 7. They added 10 more clones in the movie so they could kill more off. Yeah, so not terrible, but not great. Yeah. A bit of a letdown, especially if you're a big Bong Joon-ho fan, but it's still an interesting. Yeah, if you're a hoe for Bong Joon-ho. Yeah, but it's still worth watching. I can check it out.
Excellent. Moving on, one of the other new releases I want to get around to this week is both me and James, not together, separately, watched A Complete Unknown, the biopic on Bob Dylan.
Did I talk about this on the show? Oh, I just mentioned it last week that I went to see it. Yeah.
Now I'm a big fan of Bob,
and
he has a distinctive voice. Not everyone appreciates it, but Timothée Chalamet in this movie does his best performance.
It's pretty good.
I would argue it's in probably his top 5 best performances in general. I thought he was really good in this film.
I don't know.
It's how do you quantify that? I know.
Yeah.
But like he sings really well. He learnt all the songs on the guitar. He put in the effort to live like Bob. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I appreciate like that all the actors in the movie who were playing the main musicians like kind of learnt their instruments and were singing themselves. And so, yeah, I really appreciate they all did a really good job. And it wasn't like them just miming to the original songs. But it also wasn't like a complete shit show of like, oh, these people really can't.
Yeah, no. It was all done with reasonable proficiency.
Yeah.
And I like the movie kind of, it chronicles Bob Dylan's life from when he gets to New York until he plugs in at Newport in 1965.
61, it takes place between 61 and 65. Yeah. So it's like when he blows up and then becomes more bigger and bigger until he goes electric and people are like, Trader, Judas.
I do like, now this movie script was approved by Bob Dylan himself, and it's one of those ones where it doesn't always show him in a good light, which I appreciate it. It's a more nuanced.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick the whole movie.
Yeah,
and I think that put some people off.
Yeah,
but I'm like,
that's true to life.
Yeah, I'm like
even Bob
don't sugarcoat it. Yeah,
because someone used the term casual cruelty, which I really liked for his kind of demeanor.
Yeah,
like he doesn't really care if people get upset.
He's very aloof. Yeah, he's
just like, oh well, if you feel that way, see you later.
Yeah,
like he doesn't really, I guess, feel like it factor in other people's feelings. He's just kind of like, this is what we're doing. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, but I felt like it was really good. It didn't drag to me. It kind of moved quickly enough.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
I think it also, because we've talked about biopics before, and one of the biggest problems is cramming a whole person's life and career into like 2.5 hours. Whereas this, because it's the 5-year period, obviously they condense it and change things. But yeah, it doesn't. But
it's not as rushed.
It doesn't go from like him being a baby to the end of his career.
It's a very specific kind of snapshot of his life.
Yeah. So I think that helps it. But I think. Yeah, I think some people were disappointed that it's not really an insight into Bob Dylan, but I think that makes sense.
It makes sense because no one's ever really been able to understand him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing. The mystery about Bob Dylan is, what are his personal views? No one knows. No one knows what he thinks about anything, even though he's
got to listen to the music.
Just got to listen to the music. But even then, he'll do interviews and he just makes people confused.
Yeah, he just makes things up.
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's kind of like what was I going to say? I've lost my train of thought. He's the only musician to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, and he didn't go to that ceremony.
Yeah.
He's very kind of like...
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care what people think.
Yeah, he was invited to the Oscars and they made a joke about the fact that he is like...
And like these days, it doesn't matter where he performs, he pretty much just wears tracksuit pants.
Yeah, you guys saw him...
He's earned that.
When was it? When did you guys see him? 10 years ago?
At least, yeah.
Yeah. He was
great.
But,
yeah, he was great.
But I mean, that's pretty special. I mean,
it was at a small hall too.
Yeah, it's like, I doubt a lot of people can say they've seen Bob Dylan live in their whole, his whole career. But especially now, and it's probably not going to happen again, especially in Australia.
Oh, no, it probably will. He still tours like half of the year all over the world. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But it's like breathing to Bob.
I think he'd get bored if he did it.
I'm like being 100% serious right now. If the man stopped touring and performing, he would die.
Yeah.
Because he's always releasing music or compiling those legendary collections of B-sides and live tracks. What are they called?
Yeah,
the bootleg tapes.
Series.
Yeah, like he's always doing music related stuff, and then he's got side businesses. Like he has like a whiskey brand. So he's always just doing stuff.
I think he's one of those guys where if he stopped, he's like a shark. If he stops, it's over.
Yeah.
No, I reckon he'd come again. Anyway,
he used to come to Blues Fest
in Australia.
Like just do one show at Blues Fest and then go.
I mean, everyone goes, but it's not like one of those things where tickets sell out immediately because he's always here. He's always around. It's not like he used to be. Yeah, used to be anyway. Yeah, again now he's getting a lot older.
He's getting older. Yeah.
Who knows? But I did like. Apparently, he didn't go back to Newport, which is the culmination of this film, for like 34, 37 years. And when he came back, he performed in a fake beard and a wig. And when everyone asked him about it, he goes, "Is that me you saw? I wasn't there. You must have been watching someone else." And because Newport does this thing where they have surprise artists. They're not on the bill.
Yeah.
And he was one of the surprise artists, so he wasn't technically on the bill, but he's there and performing.
Yeah.
And so he denied, like, obviously there's footage of him playing and it's obviously Bob Dylan in a fake wig, and he publicly denies that he was ever there.
Yeah.
Which is just part of the charm of Bob.
He's always been like cheeky and
a jokey
like,
comedian, like not a comedian, but like a jokester.
Like I think he's a bit of a troll maybe, but not in a like really
not in a mean way.
Mean way. He's just like someone who's just like Callum was saying, the music speaks for itself. I'll do what I want. Yeah. You like I don't have to explain myself to you. Yeah. And that's part of the journey of the movie is like him trying to push back against being like a selling out, quote unquote, or being what people want him to be. But in the process, because the movie keeps that mystery of his character, it's still not like, it doesn't explain like, oh, he's this way because of it's just like, this is how he is.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't try to explain anything about his personality.
Yeah.
It's kind of more focused on the folk community in New York at the time with like Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, Joan Baez.
I think Ed Norton as Pete Seeger is probably the best performance in the movie. I think he's really good. Yeah. He really like is the backbone, the soul of the movie.
Should you watch Inside Llewyn Davis before watching this film?
I'd seen Inside Llewyn Davis many times, one of my favorite Coen brothers. But I actually watched it after, just out of curiosity, because it'd been a while since I'd seen it. So I watched it Complete Unknown, and then a little while later I watched Inside Llewyn Davis. And, I mean, it's just interesting to see, 1960s folk scene New York. And there is, like, the Bob Dylan cameo, quote-unquote, at the end of Inside Llewyn Davis. But there's no real connection at all. And there's such different movies, like... you really don't want to watching Inside Llewyn Davis after seeing Complete Unknown thinking they're going to be like the same.
What's the name?
They're all part of the Greenwich universe.
Yeah.
What's the name of the Scorsese movie on Bob Dylan? Was it Rolling Thunder?
Thunder Review, yeah.
I should go back and watch that. That's a doco
though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about his 70s period where, I watched the documentary about the London trip a little while, like before the movie, and they actually cut that bit out of the movie, so you don't see his thing in London. I guess because it would, when he goes back to Newport, then it would kind of repeat itself with people getting angry that he goes electric. Yeah. So I understand kind of why they did it. So yeah, it's not like it's the most accurate. But it's accurate true enough, to life. Yeah. But it's like for the story of the movie, like
it encapsulates enough.
Yeah,
to be authentic.
I think also what sets it apart from other biopics is that it's more of like a concert movie. There's a lot of live performances. Yeah, long, like full performances of, like we said, the actors playing their own instruments and singing.
Yeah, it's not like 30 seconds of them at a concert. No, it's like, no, you're there, you're watching a full song.
Or it's not like here's their life, and then here's their big concert, or here's a montage of their success, and then it's like, no, it's like every few scenes, it's like, all right, now I'm going to perform, and it's just like the whole performance, and people like close-ups of people watching and going like, wow, this guy's really good, and so it ends up being like this concert film, which is really interesting, I think.
There's one thing I wish they'd kept in the movie. At his performance at Newport, after he got heckled and it was a big ruckus, he came out he was like, all right, I'll keep the fans happy. In real life, he did 2 songs. In the movie, he does 1. Yeah. Acoustic kind of folk songs, his classics. And in real life, he didn't have the right harmonica, so he shouts out to the crowd, does anyone have a harmonica in E? And then there was like a dozen harmonicas thrown up to the stage.
Is that true?
It is true. And he just chose one and he played the songs, which is kind of gross. But
that definitely should have been in the movie.
But that should have been in the movie, and they left that out.
Maybe they thought it was like, oh, this is no one's going to believe
no one's
this.
Gonna believe that, yeah. Yeah. But that would have been a cool scene.
That would have been fun. Yeah.
But in the end, in the movie, he just kind of performs the song and then that's it.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool.
I guess it's more like, and it's more emotional as well. Like, when he's, he doesn't. I guess he's not defeated in any way. But it's
hard to be defeated when you don't care.
That's the other thing, yeah. But see, if he didn't care, why didn't he just leave? I guess, yeah, he's just a fascinating guy, and this movie isn't going to tell you more about him if you don't already know anything about him. So don't going in, if you're not a Bob Dylan fan, like don't go in expecting, oh, this will reveal his whole life and tell me about.
It's not an examination of Bob as a man.
It's about the myth.
It's about the myth and the time.
Which is why the concert elements, I think, work, because it's like just, listening to good music or attending a live performance. It's like, oh, wow, this is really cool. You get that energy. And so that's kind of what the movie's about, is like this really talented guy and like people watching him and all the other artists as well, Johnny Cash and Joan Baez and like...
The Johnny Cash scenes were fun.
Yeah, they were great. Yeah.
I do like this movie, and I think it will be hard to come away from watching this movie not a fan of Bob.
Well, from what I've read, like people like, oh, I hate Bob Dylan now. Oh, he's such a prick. But I'm like, but his music's good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he might be a dick, but so is most, not most,
again,
but a lot of other musicians.
Again, he's a dick, but he's also not that much
Yeah,
of a
he
dick.
doesn't do anything really awful.
He doesn't do anything out of malicious intent, necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, he's just kind of a prick, but he doesn't, like, he's not,
There's no ill intent, he just doesn't care that much.
Yeah.
Let other people do what they want, and then he'll do what he wants. That's his kind of myth, like his ethos, right?
Yeah.
But I liked it. I think
it's a good movie.
Especially if you're into like musical films, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, James Mangold, who directed Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie that came out 20 years ago, which I actually really like that movie, even though it's the standard biopic, and Dewey Cox, Walk Hard, parodied it, and everyone's like, haha, now you can never watch Walk the Line again. And I'm like, hell yes I can. It's a great movie. I think this is similar, where it's like, it's just a fun, entertaining movie.
Yeah.
It's historic. It's a interesting historical period. Yeah, and the music's good. The performances are pretty good. So
yeah, no, it's good.
It's worth watching.
We'll be back with more after these quick messages. You are back on the Tuesday Review, talking all things film, TV, pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Are we finished? Huh?
Lawnmowers.
The Lawnmower Review Show. That's it.
We never said what we review on Tuesday. Just it's Tuesday Review.
Hey, look, if somebody wants to send us a free lawnmower review, I'll review it.
Tech reviews will start doing that.
I'll give it the run, you know.
Send us any of your products you want us to.
I'll see how it goes against my Mass Sport 470, you know. This is an 18-inch deck, this is a 19-inch deck, you know. I'll do the whole...
Why didn't you get one of those robot ones?
Because they do nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
All they do is they'll be part of the machines that enslave you one day.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're the ones that are going to send after people like when they're crawling away.
Well, you don't have to worry. You're an AI, so you'll be safe from the robot uprising.
That's why I can't enslave my own people.
Yeah. That's why you didn't buy the robot. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Do we have any other thoughts about A Complete Unknown?
No, it's a good movie.
Good movie. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Anyone have anything else they've been watching lately they want to talk about?
Alum, you're up.
All right, so...
Oh, Alum has a
Here comes trouble.
No, Callum... I'm not going to say made me. Callum requested I watch...
How did it make you do anything, mate?
Callum recommended that I watch When Harry Met Sally.
We all recommended
recommended that.
But he recently recommended it again because I think he said he was going to watch it again, but I don't think he ended up getting to it.
It's like 4 away on my list.
Yeah.
But I've seen it so many times
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter if I've seen it recently or not.
Nathan and I rewatched it recently. We talked about it on the show.
And like, I had a good time with it, but I think maybe it's the millennial in me. I probably enjoyed Crazy Stupid Love more.
Blasphemy.
You can do what you
To
like.
be fair, Nathan, James, and myself grew up with like When Harry Met Sally and like these types of films. So for us, there's also not a nostalgic factor, but it's almost like comfort food.
Yeah, but it's also...
If you're watching it for the first time and your only experience with these types of films is Crazy Stupid Love.
It's also like, you know, I had seen When Harry Met Sally, but I'd never seen Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. So I had no nostalgic feelings for those. But when I watched them, I was like, oh, these are great. One, because great movies are always great movies. But two, because it's like, they don't make movies like that anymore.
It's an older style of film writing, I would argue.
Yeah.
It's very dialogue heavy, but
when
not
Harry
in
Met Sally,
a meta way.
Yeah, When Harry Met Sally, I don't think it's just nostalgia. It's like, this is a really great movie, and it's really well made, and it's the kind of movie that they don't really make, at least not in the same way, and not to the same level, and not with the same charm.
I think the closest we get these days is something like completely different genre, but like a Kevin Smith kind of witty dialogue, like the 4:30 movie. It's kind of dialogue driven, but it's also completely different.
It's very different, and like
But-
we've talked about with Kevin Smith is the production's not the same as it used to be.
Kind of
and,
that writing style where it's very dialogue
quippy,
driven,
yeah.
very quick, very quippy and quick and
Mm.
witty. It has those elements. Obviously, it's not as meta and modern day, and maybe that's where Alan.
there is a
kind of-
meta element to it.
I think part of it was that, like Callum mentioned, its predominant strength is in the dialogue, right? And if you're not 100% dedicated to the situation, it's after work, you're relaxed a bit, whatever, and you miss kind of bits and pieces of the dialogue.
Were you on your phone?
No, I was not on my phone,
Okay,
kind of. For the most part. I did eat dinner.
you're on thin ice.
No, I wasn't. But whereas I guess a lot of the more recent kind of films, they have that understanding. So I think some of the comedy is also more physical. Even though there was one of the best scenes, I think, for me when Harry met Sally was Harry's discussing his divorce with his friend Jess. And they're at the baseball, I think.
Yeah, the lazy
Oh,
Mexican
yeah.
wave scene.
And they
yeah.
just he's just going through the motions, doing the Mexican wave. even
While
though
they're talking,
Yeah.
they're talking about a divorce and how his life is falling apart.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was
But when everyone's doing the Mexican
Yeah.
wave and it gets to them,
Yeah, they still
they're
stand up and
obligated
just-
to do the wave
just do it.
in
And
the
that's-
middle of talking.
It's obviously such. What is it?
And they don't miss a beat. It's
Yeah,
like they're
it's-
still
it's-
talking.
it's-
So good.
It's not
It's-
irreverent is the wrong word, but it's very
It's good quality physical
It's
comedy.
such an
Yeah.
analogy to just living life. Like when things are going real shit,
Mm.
100 different horrible things happening, but you're still at work. You're still like, oh yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
sipping your coffee and
Yeah.
getting things done.
But it's
Um,
also like, you could have shot that scene with them just sitting at the baseball and not have the Mexican wave. But
No.
it's like it adds
And it still would have been
another
funny.
element. Yeah, and it still would have been a good scene.
Again,
but it's like,
it's also a good character moment because, as Alan said, it shows them that they're kind of just
Yeah.
like they observe the social norms.
Yeah.
They're there for the activity and they're having this personal conversation,
mm,
but they're still willing to engage with the baseball and the Mexican wave. And
yeah.
One of the things I really like about that film is how it's a travel through time as well as being a rom-com. So the characters start off in one way and you see the gradual progression in their character arc through the years.
Yeah.
So like as they all go through their own trials and tribulations, their character changes. So Harry goes from, men and women can never be friends. And then suddenly it's, no, they can be friends. I never said that. And then,
But that's just him
there's
being
an asterisk. But he always
He's
comes-
just being a prick.
He's just being a prick because there's an asterisk in there. He's like, oh no, you can be friends, but and then
Yeah.
this has to, with all these stipulations.
But it's
Yeah.
like this really wonderful story of two people forming a connection that lasts years. So it's not a romance story in the same way that like Sleepless in Seattle is, where it's like they have
And
that
it's
connection, but then they're
It's
kind
also
of
like
estranged.
they meet at the start and they don't like each other,
Yeah.
and then years go by, and then it's about
And
the
then they
next
still
few
don't like
times
each other.
they yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a meet cute movie where
No.
they meet and then the rest of the movie is how they develop. It's
Yeah.
like they're friends and then they're kind of not, and then and then.
But I really like the way that they come in and out of each other's lives,
Yeah.
and then their relationship status changes over time. And then it gets to the end of the movie, and spoiler for when
Yeah.
Harry met Sally, it's like they're kind of each other's best friend at that point.
yeah,
And they've kind of just found themselves in that position naturally.
yeah, they're kind of like, wait, hang on, are we in love now? Like, is this?
Yeah,
they
and
didn't
that's
even realize.
So it's like, yeah, I can understand why you might not like it because it's very talking heavy. That's the driving force of the film. But it's like, it's such a sweet story. And when you actually break it down and you look at it, it's just about couples. And like the successful couple is Carrie Fisher and
Bruno Kirby.
Bruno Kirby, yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? That's like the funny thing is like they work immediately.
Yeah.
And they're having their own successful love story.
Just-
and poor Harry's like, damn it.
Just Marie's like general situation where she's like, oh, he just bought her this,
Oh, the wagon wheel.
yeah, he just bought her, this nice nightgown or whatever. He's not leaving her, and it's like, of course he's not leaving her. Wait, she's just hanging on.
Oh, I just remembered one of the reasons. I was just saying the filmmaking, they don't make movies like that anymore. And the Mexican wave adds another dimension. The like 4-way phone call scene.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like they wouldn't even bother trying to attempt that these days.
Yeah,
They'd just be like, shoot it, who cares? It's like the coordination there to get
Yeah.
it all together. They had to do so many takes. It's just incredible scene.
yeah.
Also, I don't know if you're aware of this, Alan. The whole eating situation with Sally in this movie, where she wants this on the side and all that kind of stuff. That's based specifically
Nora.
on Nora Ephron, the writer herself, because that's how she would order food.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a single man, and some would argue a desperate man sometimes. But that's probably where I draw the line. If somebody went to a restaurant with me and ordered like that, I'd just be like, sorry.
Do they look like Meg Ryan though?
There is a certain amount you can get away with when you make
Yeah,
it.
when you're pretty privileged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be a fine line to be tread.
So now you got to watch Pretty in Pink.
Yeah.
That's another one.
I couldn't get over the fact that Billy Crystal's voice sounds a lot like, at least to me it did. It kept giving me vibes of just trying to bring him up. Give me a moment. Nathan Lane, who plays Spot in Teacher's Pet.
We need to get you.
among many other things.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Sorry,
I was gonna say out of all the Nathan
sorry.
Lane,
Let me rephrase that.
that was your touchstone for me.
My memory is like, does this guy voice Spot from Teacher's Pet? And I looked it up and I'm like, so it was Nathan
Billy
Lane.
Crystal is Mike Wachowski.
Yeah.
I
So
have to,
they've
we have
got
to.
they've got a similar.
Yeah.
We have to introduce you to a movie that stars Nathan Lane, Robin Williams, and Hank Azaria.
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. When you're ready for it,
R.I.P.
it's called The Birdcage.
Classic.
Yeah.
So good.
But it might scare you off.
Wait, have you seen the City Slickers movies?
No.
Alan would like those because
He
those
would.
are
They're good,
more
yeah.
straight comedy, Billy Crystal
Yeah.
comedies. Like,
But we need to get you to watch The Birdcage.
First, I'm going to watch
Yeah.
Mouse Hunt.
that's coming out on 4K too.
Is
I'm
it?
so excited.
That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good film. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah,
It's just one of
that's a
Nathan
good
Lane
time.
films. Because when I obviously, again, I don't know actors and stuff. So when I clicked Nathan Lane's
Yeah,
name and I
you
was
see
like,
what else they've been
yeah,
in.
and I was like, hey, I'll watch Mouse Hunt. That was a great film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I kind of maybe couldn't get past that because I was just thinking of the dog. Just be like, I want to be a boy.
I think this is one of those movies where you'll go back in a couple of years and watch it, and you'll find you liked it more.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
There's
Actually, I would be interested to see
I'll
if,
re-review.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also if Alan had like seen maybe other movies around that time, and had maybe was more familiar with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, and then watch this.
Yeah.
Like, would he have a different?
I'm not saying it was a bad film. Like,
No,
Yeah.
no.
right now it's probably sitting at about like a little under a 4. So
Yeah.
it's still a good film, but it's
I think it's one of those movies as well where
It
each time
doesn't-
you watch it, you can appreciate different things,
Mm.
or you might catch something you didn't realize the first
Yeah.
time you watched it.
I
Not-
love it.
Not. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're all like it's
We're all simps.
it's a
but that's okay.
masterpiece. But I think it's also like it's not your kind of movie to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like for us to hype it up and then
Yeah.
for you to.
So I'm assuming it's a specific place in New York where she drops them off at the start, where they kind of meet right at the end.
I
can't
just assumed
remember.
it was a uni or something because they were going to college, right?
I thought they were
Yeah.
graduates.
I can't remember.
They were graduates.
I can't remember
They
the
were
specifics.
both
They were both moving.
going to New York, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like she drops them off at like we'll call it like a gate-esque, more like a
Yeah.
Mm.
entrance to city gate rather than a physical gate kind of location, and you can kind of see the city through it.
Mm.
And I was like, did he not have an address to drop him off at? Like
He probably had. He probably
he's
had.
like, oh, now I got to walk like 10 blocks to my apartment. Thanks. So
It's
I
like-
always assumed he had like a hostel or a place to go. Like it's
Yeah.
not particularly.
Yeah,
important.
It's just obviously it was more filmmaking to drop him off to really
Yeah, where
signify
it
that he's dropped off in New York.
yeah.
I was just like,
But that would be fun if she drives off and he's like, "Wait, hang on, I still have to go into like Manhattan or whatever."
It's like the Hans moment where it's like, this isn't my house. Again, I had a good time with it. It wasn't the best time, is what I'm saying.
What about the pecan pie? Perchance,
Yeah.
That
That
was
was
partake of the pecan.
That
That was
was-
ad libbed.
that was ad lib. She
Yeah.
wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that. That's why she kind of looks nervous.
And
Yeah.
she looks.
I think she looks off camera to
she
the
looks-
director.
so
Yeah.
you can
It's
see
the
her
Rob
look.
Reiner.
She's looking at the director as if to say, "How am I supposed
and he's
to
like,
respond
"Keep
to
going,
this?"
keep going.
Yeah.
And I'll have what she's having.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the scene.
Everyone knows that.
I did the
even if
Leonardo
they've never-
DiCaprio. Like,
Nora
"Oh,
Ephron, the writer is the lady that says that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the Rob Reiner's mother.
Yeah,
Oh,
Rob
Ryan's
Reiner's
mother.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
who's
never
the old lady sitting
Yeah.
next to them says, "I'll have what
I'll
she's
have
having."
what she's having.
Just their ability to kind of go into public and just say,
Embarrassed, yeah.
just embarrass themselves.
That's so Christian coded.
Yeah, even at like
Just
the,
embarrassing publicly. with
Silent
it.
producer
even at the
Christian.
like very
Yeah.
start of the film where they go into that bar, and she's something about sleeping with him or something of that nature, like very loudly in the bar.
Yeah.
I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I'd just die of cringe so quickly.
No shame.
It's like, please, just inside voice, please.
Yeah.
Please, Meg.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had a good time, if not
Look,
the best time.
it's slowly opening my mind into, the rom-coms and other genres of film. So
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which one am I watching next, boys? Line it up.
Pretty in Pink.
I thought you said Sleepless in Seattle.
Well, I think if he wants to stay in the Nora Ephron rom-com territory, he'd have to do Sleepless in Seattle and
You've Got Mail.
You've Got Mail. Pretty in Pink then opens up the John Hughes, which is a whole nother kettle of fish.
Yeah, real good though.
Or I think more
Gets you
more-
Richard Gere peeled.
more and more in Allam's wheelhouse. I think would be just more straight comedies like City Slickers and other Billy Crystal. Have you seen Princess Bride?
I've seen...
He's seen enough on
No,
YouTube.
Yeah,
no,
on
it's not YouTube
memes.
sir. I have seen the memes, but no, I watched it while I was in Canada on the Canadian cable service, and there was many ads, and so
When was this?
This was 2006.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you have to watch that. That's a great movie.
I just remember the end scene where he puts that weird medicine in his mouth, and then he goes, "My name is what is it?
My name is Inigo Montoya.
Yeah.
You killed my father, prepare to die.
Prepare to die. Yeah.
Offer me money and whatever. Offer me anything." He's like, "I want my father back," and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Billy Crystal has like one of the best, most hilarious bits in that movie.
Yeah, and it's got Andre the Giant, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I'll give that a watch.
Should watch that too. There's just so many movies.
Too many movies, not enough time.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything interesting?
I've seen a few.
What have you got for us, Callum? Anything
I'll
interesting?
quick fire him because we're running out of time. I watched Tree of Life by Terrence Malick, which is a surreal kind of fantasy, kind of weird, dreamy family drama of sorts about some kids who grew up in an abusive household or a 40s household. So like the father comes home from the war and he's he's very a disciplinarian, to use the lingo that they might have used during the
Yeah, I mean, it's
day.
abusive, but it's like for the time
It was probably standard.
Yeah.
So it's like, a
Unfortunately.
husband who's not good to his wife and a father who's not good to his kids.
Mm.
And the kids kind of play out in the street and in the woods and, whatever. And they're not very well adjusted. Well, one of them's not very well adjusted. And so it's about the journey these boys take on emotionally. And adjacently, Sean Penn dealing with some bad news he also got, which makes him remember the events of their childhood.
Yeah, it flashes forward to his adulthood.
Yeah. It's kind of for like a 2.5 hour film, I guess. It's kind of plot light. It's more
very
about vibes.
Yeah, it's very vibey, dreamy.
It's a 5 out of 5 movie. But it could have been so much more.
Yeah, I was because it's been a long time since I saw it. But I was trying to explain to Callum, like Terrence Malick, he's like 2000, like late 90s, 2000s films like Thin Red Line and The New World. Like he shoots hours and hours and hours of footage, and he has all these ensemble of actors and has all these characters and storylines. And then after he finishes shooting, he just cuts it all out and makes this kind of flowing, weird, like not, a bit weird, like movie. And my problem with those kind of movies is like, I can tell when I'm watching them, I'm like, watching Tree of Life, I'm like, oh, this is a good movie, but I can tell this is supposed to be more about Sean Penn and reflecting on him and his brother and like the
problem is they start. So they establish characters and side characters, and they establish to use hipster terms like emotional tones. Yeah, right. And then it derails into
and then Terrence Malick loses interest, and he's like, I'm just gonna go off in dreamy imagery, and that's kind of cool in a way. But I feel like I was telling Callum the story of Thin Red Line, where Adrian Brody was originally the main character, and there's all these great actors in that movie, and there's all these plot lines, and then the movie comes out, and Adrian Brody's hardly in the movie. He's like in a couple scenes, and Jim Caviezel's character is now like the centerpiece of the main. But even then, it's a very like weird movie, and it's just like that's part of the charm on one hand, but on the other hand, I'm like, I kind of just want to see the proper version of like the story and the characters as they were meant, quote unquote, meant to be. So you know who you're following, and it goes to its logical conclusion because they're setting those things up. But then Terrence Malick loses his interest, and he just goes, I'm going to go in a different direction instead.
Yeah, I followed that up by watching Primal Fear with Richard Gere.
Classic.
And man, nobody looks better in a suit than Richard Gere. He's one of those guys. He's a leading man.
When you think of a lawyer in a movie, you kind of think of him in a suit.
Yeah, but he's got leading man energy of the kind they very rarely make anymore.
Yeah.
And like he's such a great, like you said, he's just such a great lawyer.
Yeah, he's just like 90s
he has a
lawyer.
charisma, but he's also like he's got that sharpness to him.
Yeah.
And that's such a great. I love courtroom dramas, and this is a fantastic.
That's the
one.
type of movie they don't make anymore.
Yeah, just a brilliant film. I
And
can't talk too much about it without spoiling it.
Yeah.
Edward Norton is the best performance in the film.
Oh, that was that like his big breakout?
Yeah, that and American History X.
Yeah.
Were his big breaks.
Yeah, this was a couple of years before American History, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible film with a great twist ending.
Yeah, classic.
And then the last film I watched was Blown Away with Tommy Lee Jones and Jeff Bridges, and what a joy to watch! And no, have you seen it?
No.
It's nothing special.
Yeah,
but it's just like a standard '90s action movie with Tommy Lee Jones, and you know what I mean? Like, so it has a physicality to it. You know, it's real cars driving real fast. There's real explosions in it.
Yeah.
Great sound design. You can hear the explosions. It's so real. You can sink your teeth into it. And it's like also the soundtrack's great. You know, it's set in Boston. It looks great.
Yeah.
Like it has great Boston accents. And I'm watching it. I'm like, man, the 90s action movies were really the peak of the entire genre.
It's something we talk about a lot. It's like where even if it's not a great movie, watching it now, it's just like, wow, we've lost so much. Movies used to be movies, even if they weren't that great.
Yeah, it was,
they used to be practical. Yeah.
I put in my Letterboxd review, a quote from Scorsese, absolute cinema.
Yeah.
With the hands up in the air.
Yeah.
But honest to God, it's such a great film. Because, like, the action it's visceral, they're moving, the combat's kind of, you know what I mean? It's like there's stunts. There are stunts in this film with real people on real sets, real locations. There's no green screens in this film.
Yeah.
So it's like you watch these movies and it takes you back to when movies were awesome. It makes you happy. I've talked about before when I was watching our Blu-ray collection. It makes you happy. Movies can make you happy when you're watching these older films because they're real.
Yeah.
They don't fake anything. There might be some CG and some of the fire, but when they blow something up, it's a genuine explosion. And like, I shouldn't be celebrating that, but you know what I mean? Like when you go back and you watch these films and it's like there was effort and love put into, and even just like I said, the sets, there's a real bar.
We've lost that. I remember I was talking about a movie a little while ago and I was like, one small scene where a car crashed into another car or something. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen that done properly in a while, because usually it's like they cheap out on it and they just shoot it from inside and they CGI the glass cracking.
Yeah.
And it's like, I miss when even the cheapest TV shows would have, cars flipping over and,
There's quite a few scenes in a bar in this film. And I'm watching it and I'm like, in Black Widow, they CGI'd an entire
bar. Yeah, we always
bar.
talk about that. That was so
It's all
stupid.
green screen. And like sometimes you'll see behind the scenes footage of like mostly Marvel movies.
Yeah.
It's like half of it's green screen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at least you go back to these 90s films and it's like, it's actual sets, actual homes, real action scenes set on like, the pier.
Yeah.
Do you remember piers?
Yeah.
Like you have like the final showdown on a pier,
we were
a boardwalk.
talking. I remember when we were talking about Sleepless in Seattle, and I was like, one of the opening shots of the movie is at the funeral, and it just like the camera pans out, and you see like Chicago or whatever in the background. I'm like, wow, that's crazy that they spent the time and money just to get that one shot.
Yeah,
and they don't do that anymore.
Well, there's a famous. I mean, Woody Allen is notorious. But there's that one of his more famous movies, Manhattan. there's that scene of the bridge. You know, the one that's famous because he had to wait until a certain time to get the light for the shoot at the right angle, and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Because that's how they made movies back in the day.
Yeah.
It was like you have to wait for the time when the light was right, in the right location, with the right camera, so it would look great on film.
Yeah. Now it's just shoot it and we'll fix it in
Shoot
post.
it, we can color grade it later.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
then that's why every movie looks like
Shoot
garbage.
it. Shoot it real dark. Or no, or they shoot it light.
they shoot it real light and, then they
bring
darken
it down.
it. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you can't see anything.
Yeah, and then you
Yeah.
can't see anything anyway.
But well, yeah, in this film, you know, the dark scenes, you can tell what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's lit properly.
Yeah.
And also just it has like great villain work from Tommy Lee Jones where he plays a rogue explosives expert.
Nice.
And it's like, you know, you see him mixing the chemicals together and preparing his bombs. And Jeff Bridges is another bomb expert who has to defuse his work. And you know what I mean?
Cool.
It's got
Yeah.
those like the sweat thriller element where he's like
See,
trying to tinker
those
with
used
the
to
bomb.
be movies you could go to the cinema and see,
Yeah.
and it'd be like, oh, cool, you know.
And then
Like,
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah.
Bridges is like, I didn't blow up my wife. And Tommy Lee Jones is like, I don't care.
I don't care.
similar kind of story elements going on though about because they're from the IRA. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Both of them.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
like this whole thing.
They're from the IRA, but they're operating in America?
Correct. But I don't want to spoil it too
Okay.
much.
I have to watch this.
No, yeah, I want to watch this too.
Yeah.
But it's this fascinating contrast where Tommy Lee Jones is the unrepentant IRA guy, like, you know, bomb everyone. And then Jeff Bridges is like, but we would never... I can't spoil... I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah.
You have to watch it. But it has a really interesting take on that theme.
Interesting.
But yeah, also Jeff Bridges, again, leading man energy.
Oh, one of the greats.
Yeah, anyway, it's just, yeah. It made... I watched it with headphones, so I got like the full 5.1 experience. The sound design, just on the poor version I was watching at home, the sound design was amazing. So if you have a great sound system, this is one to use. Because the sound... Again, choppers, real helicopters... flying
that.
over your locations.
I miss that.
You can hear the chopper go through the channels like...
I can't remember if I've mentioned on the show before. I remember, like, I think I've talked about it before, but it's something I was thinking about actually not long ago as well. Like, I love in like 90s movies where they just have a helicopter flying in for no reason. Like, whether it's like a kids comedy like Richie Rich, or if it's like a sort of action sort of movie like you know, like Outbreak has all these. It's like there's always just like a scene with a helicopter.
Yeah.
And it's a real helicopter, and it
Yeah.
comes in, and then it lands, and people get out, and then people get in, and it's like,
I mean,
and
to
it's like
be
they don't
fair-
do that anymore.
To be fair, that's also not super expensive. You can probably just rent the helicopter trip.
Well, when
and-
they're spending $400 million on Marvel garbage,
Yeah, I know.
and it's all CGI, like shot on a green screen, and you're like, can you not use a percentage of that to do any of this real?
yeah.
Like,
Again,
where is that money going? You
Bev-
can't see it on
I'm
screen.
just saying, Beverly Hills Cop 4 does all these things.
Yeah.
I still have to watch that.
Does
But
all
yeah,
these things practically.
Just talking about it's made me a lot happier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? See what this is what I talk about. Old films
It's-
make you
yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
All
It's-
right, everyone. Any last final thoughts? We are out of time.
No, we'll wrap it up.
Thanks for listening, everyone. You can catch the Tuesday Review on all the social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Newsmask, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Substack. Our Substack address is thetuesdayreview.substack.com. All the other socials are at TuesdayReviewAU. We're also on YouTube and Letterboxd. I'm Nathan B_90.
Channeldrifter.
I'm Alum20.
And I'm Callum Tuesday.
We'll be back next week. Please rate and review
5 stars.
5 stars on all the platforms for the podcast. It helps us out a lot. And we'll be back with more next week. Adios, cousins.